All right. We got future bodybuilding legends, Dorian Haywood and Phil Clahar with us today. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, bodybuilding is dead right now because we're in the middle of the off season. Got to wait till the Arnold Classic. But it's the off season and everybody's trying to like put muscle on. And what should I do to improve this? And what should I do to improve that? Both of you guys are personal trainers in your private life. So I figured it'd be perfect to bring you guys on and talk about, building muscle in the off season. But before we get to that, did you see that Mo Shaban is working with Psycho Lewis?
Yes, I saw that.
Did you see they put up a video today of doing some kind of a back exercise. Let me see if I can pull it up quickly because I wanted to show you guys this because listen, you guys are a lot more advanced than I am. So I wanted to pull this up. Let's see if I don't know if it was in his stories. Might have been in his stories. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Oh, he's got a YouTube channel too. Let's see. Come on. No, let's see. I think it is. Let's see. Oh, he's working. Oh, I guess. Oh, yeah. Psycho and Charles Glass are together, right?
I don't know if they're still working together. I thought they.
Yeah, I thought they split up too, but they
Yeah.
seem to be. But they seem to be working together again because I see him in here with Mo as well. But they do these this back training, and I wanted to know exactly. I can't seem to find it, but I'll just describe it.
What it wasn't he supposed to be in Arnold, Ohio?
Yeah, he's doing the Arnold.
I don't think he's doing it though. I think he's going to do the one in UK.
Oh, really? He's dropping out of that one? I was pretty sure he was on that one. Well,
He doesn't want to be. I may not quote it right. He doesn't want to be like second or third place or something like that. He wants to win.
okay.
So I think he's deciding to do the Ohio. But I'm like, the same guys are rolling right into it.
Yeah,
The same
right.
guys that go right in.
It's a week later. You might as well do
Yeah.
both. I don't know. That strategy is a little strange to me when you kind of pick and choose exactly where can I, it's like, if you wind up in the Olympia, you're going to wind up against the biggest guys on the planet anyway.
That's my theory. Yeah.
Yeah. So you might as well try to, compete with the best guys there are. But anyway, Dorian, so Psycho had him doing this back movement, when you lay on your stomach, almost like a flat, and then the U-shaped bar is underneath. I don't know if I'm explaining it right. I don't know exactly what you call it. You lay on your stomach, and underneath is the bar, but it's a U-shaped bar, so it goes around the bench.
Like a bench in a row, and you're laying on a bench, right?
Right, exactly. Except that he's not pulling all the way up. He's kind of like pulling with his shoulders inward, where it looks like he's working his traps. If that sounds right. Did you see it? Because I tried to pull it up. I can't find it. What's the significance of that? And Psycho, of course, had his hand on his back, on the bottom on his back, and making sure he's doing the movement right. Is something like that for his traps, or is that a back movement?
Well, yeah. Chris is kind of meticulous about the way he does things, so he might be just isolate some very specific muscle. But me personally, I only try to do stuff that's super effective. I'm not saying that isn't effective, but it's just hard to set up. And it's basically isolating your row motion. So I would think that'd be majority traps and rhomboids, kind of that mid-back stuff that you're trying to build density in.
Okay.
But you're really trying to pull your elbows down and tight to your side. You can get some compression, some latissimus involvement, but that's what I would guess.
Yeah, I would think so. Phil, did you see it? Because I tried to pull it up.
No, I didn't see it, but I see Psycho Lewis's theories on his training. I think he just does a lot of things. Not that it doesn't work. I think he does a lot of things just to separate himself from a lot of other trainers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's very unique. And he learned a lot from Charles Glass, which is one of the icons trainers out there.
Right.
But
right.
yeah, I have no clue. It's not something I would even think about doing, but I know what it does.
Yeah, I think Psycho Lewis basically developed his own style. You could see flashes of Charles Glass, because Charles pinpoints muscle parts that are weak, and he tries to bring them up. And I think he does that with his own style, right? But apparently it worked. No, wait, did it work for Sean Roden? Was Sean Roden with him when he won the Olympia, or was he with?
No, he was with him when he won the Olympia, but I don't think he did those type of movements with Sean.
No,
because I watched Sean train with Psycho throughout prepping for the Olympia when he won. They did some unique movements, but I didn't see. I think now he's getting really creative as he goes on throughout the years.
Yeah,
but whatever. It is what it is.
It's Mo Shaban seems to be that bodybuilder that like everybody's waiting to break out. He kind of seems to have all the parts and you're like, when is this guy going to break out? When is this guy going to hit his flow? And is he going to be breaking the top 5 in major shows? He seems to be that kind of a bodybuilder. I don't know. What do I know? That's my guess, because it's like when a lot of bodybuilders get like that. When they first come up on the scene, you're like, wow, this guy's got to be good. And then they kind of stay in that midpoint. and you look like he looks like he's trying to break out of that, you know.
Well, I think even a lot of these newcomers, these stars that they tend to push a lot, they build them up before they actually prove themselves. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah,
so the pressure gets to you. You know what I'm saying? I think that they should give these athletes opportunity just to be themselves and do what they need to do and see how well they'll place and how many shows they can win. But when you put so much pressure on them prior to it, I think that's really the kicker, because now it's like, I got to do well. If I don't do well, then I'm going to get criticized for this and that. So I think that's really it. The build up with all these new up and comers. He's good. Shaban is good. He plays in the top 5. Yeah. He does very good. I think he won. I think he won about 1 or 2 shows.
Did he? I'm not sure.
But you know what I mean? My philosophy is this: it doesn't hurt having someone to push you training wise or whatever the case may be. But it goes back to me growing up training myself, and I trained myself to become a pro. And I think pros are very knowledgeable. But sometimes they believe they need some for the push. Yes, if you need somebody to push you and drive you, that's a whole different ballgame. But if you're a professional bodybuilder, I don't see why everybody needs to pay that extra money for extra training when you got there knowing what you know. But that's just, once again, my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's something to say about that. A lot of old school guys say things like that, like Lee Priest, Sean Ray. They all say, I never had a trainer. But in today's day and age, I mean, when you look, there are trainers that are proven that will take you from, you bring yourself to point C and you can't get to point D, right? Like Emilos did with Samson, or even Regan, right? Regan is a perfect example of what you said, putting too much pressure on him at the beginning, because I remember when he went to Iraq and then he came home after so much time and he's just like, this was too much for him. So, and then he slowly made his way as a top tier bodybuilder. So yeah, that's a perfect example. But all right, so Dorian, I've been watching a lot of your stuff on YouTube. I pretty much watched almost every video except the one where you're playing the guitar. I skip over that one. But the workout ones I love it. So again, I'm going to put it in the comments. The YouTube channel is, what is it?
Dorian Haywood IFBB Pro. Okay,
so I was going to make sure. So I've had a lot of kind of old school guys on. Arns is one of them. I've had Jose Raymond on, King Kamali, and they're firm believers in that heavy weight training, just metal, bent over rows, deadlift, one arm rows, so on and so forth. I watched your back workouts and you kind of incorporate both the machines and the heavy training with heavyweight. What's your philosophy behind that?
Well, I think if you're going to maximize muscle size, density, growth, you got to stimulate it in different ways. I think, one, you need to be able to mechanically stress that muscle with so much force that you're creating damage to that tissue before you can get bigger and stronger. I think, second, you need to have that neurological stimulus. You need to be able to push to that point where the muscle's failing and another muscle needs to take over. So you're challenging your neurological system. And I think the third part's trying to get that fascia to stretch. As soon as you get all that blood in the muscle, get that muscle kind of like stretch from the inside out with the pump effect. So I think if you can hit all those 3 things in training, doing everything you can to maximize your training.
Phil, can you explain what the hell he just said? Because I have no fucking clue.
The last time we did this video, I was like, Patty, what the hell is Dorian talking about? He's in the I would say the medical type field, so he knows all the big words.
Yeah.
But it makes sense if you really think about and listen to what he's saying.
I know he knows his shit, which is why I'm a big fan and why I have him on again and why I listen to his YouTube channel. But it's kind of like talking to like Cornell West, the college professor, and then you need Bill Maher to fucking translate. So Phil, what the hell did he just say?
In the long short term, the man said basically you're pushing yourself, fatiguing the muscle and the muscle fibers to develop growth. It's different ways and different angles you can hit it. It could be heavy. Me, I'm not a fan of really heavy weight. I've trained, but I train to my age. You know what I mean? I have to. When I was younger, yeah, I was more towards pushing heavyweight, but I'm big with quality over quantity. That's what I push, even with my people I coach, people I train. If you can move heavyweight with as best form as possible, then it's okay. But if it's going to be a lot of herky jerky type movements that I see a lot of,
on the pro level.
even at the pro level on the Olympians, man, I'll watch some of them. Derek is more controlled. I watch Derek train. He's more controlled. But a lot of the athletes, man, they be doing bent over rows. It's not really bent over rows. It's like shoulder shrugs from what I see. But
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've seen that too, actually. Dorian, when you pick a machine, though, it seems like you're so meticulous that you pick it for a specific reason. And there's that one machine that you were training on in the gym, and you said that you loved it. You were training with, I don't know the couple, another guy and another girl. Do you know the machine I'm talking about in your gym?
Talking about a Panetta pull down machine through
Right.
here.
Right, exactly. Explain why you like that and the significance behind it.
Okay, so this is the only machine that we have kind of like this in the gym. So if I'm trying to get that lat width and that stress through this outer portion of the lat, everything that we have in the gym, is a pull-up motion. Let me take a step back. When we're looking at trying to stress the muscle and target it specifically, you got to know the anatomy of the motion and what you're trying to achieve. And what you're trying to achieve here is get that lat to stretch and lengthen, then contract it to a fully shortened position on every rep.
Okay.
So everything that we have here with the cable pull down, you're driving through that elbow and you're just coming down. That force is coming down. With that Panetta machine, it's super cool because it has a pivot point. So instead of like a cable that's tied to a pulley where the force is coming straight down, you have something that's now coming in like a circular motion. The anatomy, it's an adductor. So it's not just pulling down, but it wants to pull to the midline of the body. So that's why that machine kind of opens up that opportunity. It's not just pulling down, it's also pulling in.
I got you. There is at the gym that I go to, we do have one of those machines. I never fucking use it because I was always like, now. Yeah, no, definitely. Like I literally watch your videos and I try to mimic the same workouts because number one, I like trying different things, but number two, I know what you're doing. So because I was always, I'm Gen X, right? I'm 47 years old. So everything when I was younger in my 20s, when I was first learning, they would tell me, stick to the basics, stick to the heavy training, stick to the weights, bent over rows, one arm rows, deadlifts, pull downs, what was the other one? T-bar rows, all that. So anytime I ever did back, that's what I always did because I was always drilled in my head as a kid, when I was first starting out, when I was first working out, especially my back, because my back was always a weak point that needed growth. So that's what the guys would always say, deadlift, so on and so forth. But today, things are a little bit more advanced. And I still see the old school guys saying the same kind of thing. But the newer guys like yourself, or like you see Hunter a lot on the machines, they're not scared of jumping on the machines. But as soon as you see they don't perform well on stage, the old school guys, that's what they go right to. They go, he's got to go back to the basics. How true is that or how untrue is that? Phil, go ahead, you could take it.
There could be a debate between free weights and machines. I use both of them. I honestly, my personal opinion, I don't really see a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dorian says, I mean, if you're going to contract a muscle and know the anatomy of the body and train correctly and work to develop your weak points, I don't think, it depends on heavy barbell bends over rows. I don't think that's what it is because Hunter actually is carrying a lot of mass and a lot of density. I don't think it's anything wrong with Hunter's structure at all. He actually improved his back. It's just coming in condition. I mean, that's really just Tampa. I was physically there, me and Patty in the front row, and that was the best Hunter I've seen. Texas,
yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, Texas, he was a little off, and I think a lot of nerve sets in with Hunter. That's when he starts sweating. I think it's nerves. I think Tampa, I don't want to say the competition wasn't tough. I don't want to say that, but he knew he was a front runner there.
Mm-hmm.
When he knew he had to go against Jack now, even though he went in and he was doing very well, from what Tyler said, they were really, really battling. It's just that the nerve sets in and he starts pouring sweat. And once he starts doing that, he starts fading. So I don't think there's anything structurally, old school, new school, whatever the case may be. I believe machines work. I believe free weights work. If you put it all together in the right way, and just know your body and know what you got to work on and develop. Just like I listen to what the judges tell me, and I go and I focus on that main body part and develop it. So I don't see a big difference. I think more injury could lead towards heavy free weight movement. I
Yeah.
don't do barbell bench press at all. I've been stopped that years ago. It's more
Right.
Smith machine, hammer strength, and stuff like that. So I don't think. Listen, the old school guys, and I can say I am because I'm turning 50, so I'm considered one of the old school guys. I was just like you. I was raised with basic hardcore gyms. It was basic. That's what I'm used to. I'm not really big on the fancy equipment. The gym I train at is very basic. It keeps me accountable. It keeps me injury free. You know what I mean? And I just love the fact that I just think basics is always the key. That's going to always, and that's just my opinion. I think the newer stuff, I think it makes it a little bit more, I want to use the word, I don't want to say easier, but technically it is, to really focus, on the movement that you're doing, where heavier weight and free weights and the old school way of training, it's a lot of more, strength involved. Where,
Mhm.
like Dorian says, with the machines and how the movement you're doing it, you could actually focus on that body part without overdoing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I fully agree. I use more machines now because I am older. So I use a lot more Smith machine or hammer strength a lot more now than I was younger because I mean, even just warming up, like when I do a back workout, like I literally do between 3 and 6 sets of pull-ups, and then I go to pull downs, 3 to 6 sets of pull downs before I even get into my back workout, just to stretch out, loosen up. Otherwise, everything hurts if I don't do that.
Yeah.
My shoulder, my elbow, it's unbelievable. Whereas years ago, when I was younger, I could just jump right into it and just get rocking and rolling. But it's a whole different game. So I do this show once a week called Anabolic Academy. People send me questions and I answer them and so on and so forth. And actually, Phil, you did one with me. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, a little bit ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And I get this one question a lot. I get the push pull legs versus gym split. Now, I was always a gym split guy because that's what I grew up on.
Mm.
I still see the majority of guys doing gym splits, but this push pull legs, it seems to have gotten into the younger generations. I see a lot of young guys doing it. I know Jordan Peters is a big advocate of this, but is it better? Is it worse? Is it just reinventing the wheel? Dorian, what do you think?
Well, I think back in more of the golden era, this was a more popular training strategy. But like you said, it's kind of coming back. I think what's going on, my personal split, it's almost like you said, what you call a gym split. It's almost one body part per week. I'm hitting legs twice a week. I'm hitting back twice a week. But that second back day isn't as intense. But the point is, I think, and I was thinking about this because I knew what the topic of this webcast was going to be today. These big pros, they need time to heal. If you go in there and you push yourself in the gym, and pros are something else because they have way more muscle tissue and they are way stronger. They need more time to recover. So I think this is essential in the off season when you need to be able to build and you have time to recover and you have the nutrients to create recovery. But I think this push-pull split thing, I think this would work better for a professional bodybuilder and more the on-season because you are getting a lot of neurological stimulus. You're getting a lot of caloric expenditure. I heard Lee Haney kind of talking about this topic and criticizing some of the modern bodybuilders. They don't train their body parts frequently enough. Therefore, they're not getting as conditioned as the old school dudes. I think that the push-pull split would be something that'd be great when you don't have as much energy and you're cutting down in the diet phase. You can burn a lot of calories because you're using a lot of different muscle groups and you can stimulate a lot of muscle. And the focus on those exercises isn't necessarily breaking down tissue. So
have you seen
that's
that?
kind of where my mind is.
Have you actually seen that where guys were preparing for a show and they resort to a push-pull leg workout as opposed to a gym split?
I've done it years ago. I don't
really?
do it. I've been bodybuilding for 26 years.
Okay.
So I used to have the Arnold encyclopedia, and one of the splits that was in the encyclopedia. So I tried everything in that book, and it was effective.
Phil, what's your take on it? Because the only time I say, again, I'm not near as your guys' level, but if somebody asks my opinion, the only time I say to do a push-pull legs is when somebody's just starting out in a bodybuilding journey, if you will, and I go, okay, go 3 days a week, start off 3 days a week, right? And if do Monday push, Wednesday pull, and then Friday legs. and then just go back and then, work on your nutrition. And then if you start getting into it after a month or two, then change to a gym split routine. That's the only time I really recommend it. But I mean, what do you think? And what do you think of my recommendation?
Well, yeah, your recommendation is good. What I think about push pull, it's
Yeah.
funny because when people come to the gym and ask me that, it's always the younger kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell them, you need to go push your ass over there. And when you figure it out, you can come back and pull yourself back over here and talk to me. I don't. It's the new age stuff, man. Honestly, I don't even give it any thought.
Yeah.
When a lot of the kids, I hear them talking in the gym because everybody is knowledgeable now because of YouTube and
Yeah.
Google. So I listen to these teenagers. I'm in my office and they'd be right outside my office, and everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, and they're talking all these philosophies and push pulls or whatever. And they'll come and ask me. I'll be like, I have no comment. I just stick to what I know. I'm not going to get into the push pull, even though breaking down body parts, doing back, you're pulling. You know what I
Right.
mean? Same thing with legs, you're pushing. So I think that's the philosophy they're doing. They're trying to mix up the high tech push pull type thing. It's still nothing different. So I just stick to the splits. I'm 2 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off. That's just how I do.
Yeah, it seems like everybody wants to reinvent the wheel. And it seems like with all the information available on YouTube and social media, it's like getting worse. Like I see the younger guys in the gym, and it looks like they're putting the cart before the horse, and they're not getting the bait. I mean, they all want to squat and deadlift, right? But half the time they're squatting and deadlift is shit. Their form is shit. When they deadlift, they look like a dog taking a shit in the park because their back is hunched over like this.
Yeah.
Or they're squatting and they look like their knees are gonna buckle, and they just don't have the proper form. But could that be the problem? Could that be, social media is just putting too much info out? Okay,
Oh
Dorian.
yeah. I think this is a huge problem. I think there's too much information. It's like when I started, we didn't have the social media. We didn't have YouTube. We had to figure this shit out on our own, and we had to go by what we felt. Now there's so much information out there. It's like, where do you start? What do you do? Right. I think if people focusing so much on the information and kind of feeling their body, being introspective and pushing intensity, they're going to be successful with weight training. If they can incorporate good technique with intensity, there's going to be success there. I think there's too many people focusing on what to do and not how to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the worst is when I see in the gym, I refer to it as the blind leading the blind, where you see a guy that's older and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's teaching a younger guy who doesn't know what he's, and most of the time I mind my business. I usually help if it's like a group of young kids, like 2 or 3 15-year-old kids that just came out of high school. Because I go to the gym normally right after. I get out of work at 3:00. So normally I go to the gym right after that. And
that's a busy time.
Yeah. And that high school kids, college kids are there, things like that. And if I see 2 or 3 kids that are like, maybe they're on the football team or whatever, and they're at the local gym working out, and I see they're doing something wrong, I'll help. I'll say, hey, let me show you how to do this or whatever. And 99% of the time, they're thankful. They want to learn. Most of the time, I just keep to myself. But I do see this influx of information that is just so overwhelming. And they're always putting the cart before the horse. It's always an angle, or it's always trying to use a machine for something other than it's used for. And it doesn't look like they're sticking to the basics. It's counterproductive is really what it is. And another thing is like you said, when we were younger, we didn't have any of that. So we relied on 2 things: the guys in the gym to show us, right? And the magazines. But the magazines, if you remember, it was step-by-step pictures, right? Yeah. And then it showed then it just filled in the muscle with like red to see where you're stimulating it and so on and so forth. And that's basically how you learn. But now it's like I see these older guys, and they like older. When I say older, 30s, right? To us, that's to young kids, that's older. Yeah. And there, it's like the blind leading the blind. They're showing, their girlfriend, or they're showing the young guys, and it's like, you're
100% right. I see a lot of men with their wives, and they're trying to make them work out like bodybuilders, and they're I would hate to say they're very overweight and very unhealthy. So, I mean, this one lady was trying to do a deadlift with 135. I'm like, she can't even pick it up. And he's like yelling at like a drill sergeant. So my client was like, are you going to step in? I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I said, because at the end of the day, listen, they're married. If she's not sensible enough to say, listen, I can't do it, and stick to she can't do it, and him not force her to do it because she's going to leave. I haven't seen her in a while now, so I guess I don't know if they're even still together. But
Yeah.
the thing is, it's like basics is key. The younger kids, they're doing all these fancy movements. They got the bench on a low incline, and they're doing the front lateral these raises here, and they're doing all these classy stuff, right? And then I'm saying to myself, you're skinny as hell, or you
Yeah.
have no muscle tissue. Once you just develop the base, the foundation first before you get creative. But I know it's stuff that they see on Instagram. That's another big thing too, not just YouTube. It's Instagram, So all these influencers are showing these workouts instead of saying, listen, if you're advanced and had some years in the gym, this might be, available for you. But if you're someone that just started off, this is the direction we should go.
Right.
But like I mean, same thing you say, but I don't get involved. Honestly, I used to help people out. I had one guy like give me like the stink look, you know what I mean? And after that, I just don't approach. I don't if I see somebody doing something, or unless a barbell's about to fall on their chest, that's the only way I
Yeah.
get involved. That's the only
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. No, I like I said, I'll stick to the young guys. I'll help the young guys. But other than that, if you're an older guy, you're on your own. And if you're a girl, I'm more afraid because I don't want to end up on Instagram. This guy's a creep with my face or a big red circle, and it's like, just
Yeah.
forget it. But here's another question that comes up. I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but that's because I don't have anything, specific. Here's another question that comes up. Again, it's a lot of the off-season stuff that I get, and people want to know if they should continue to do low carb in off-season, but just increase the calories as opposed to increase carbohydrates.
Right.
And so, okay, Dorian, what do you think?
Everybody's different, man. Everybody's metabolism is different. People react different ways. And I think at the end of the day, a calorie is a calorie, and you need an abundance and an excessive amount of calories to create any form of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, every nutrient you're going to consume is going to break down to glucose. Eventually, it's just how fast you do it. Sometimes we can use simple carbohydrates to create some type of insulin effect where we could potentially draw in more nutrients into the cell by consuming simple carbohydrates. But at the end of the day, you need to eat a lot of food. And I don't think being super picky and super meticulous is necessarily the best approach. Because let's see, I've been, like I said, I've been bodybuilding 26 years. And just within the last year and a half or 2 years is the first time I've ever been like, okay, my strategy to my bulk is to basically eat as much as I can 5 times a day. And I've learned, power eating and just making sure you're getting excessive calories every single day works for me to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's to the point where I'm big and I need to more focus on refinement opposed to growth. So I think at the end of the day, you just need to eat a lot of fucking food, period. You don't need to get into the nuances and intricacies. If you're focusing on that, you're probably missing the point. And the point is you need to eat a lot of fucking food.
Right. I agree. But what about as far as eating garbage as opposed to nutritious foods? Because, there's a lot of social media influencers like Sam Sulek who says, calories, even though he's a 21-year-old kid, calories, and it doesn't matter if it's donuts or chicken and rice.
Yeah, he's right. He's wrong. I mean, people always ask me, hey, what kind of gear do I need to be able to grow like this? I'm like, why are you asking me about this? Because if you're not eating enough, you can take all the gear in the world.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yes, calories differ in terms of how much inflammation they're going to create on the body, how much free radical stress that can occur to you create inflammation within the system, which is not healthy. So my general strategy is to eat as much as I can by minimizing the amount of inflammatory foods that I consume. Mm-hmm. If you look at how I structure a basic diet, I mean, you're going to have your protein source, you're going to have your carbohydrate source, and a veggie or a fruit. And if you're structuring it like that and you're eating clean, you're going to have pretty good results. I do think eating junky, doing a junk bulk, is going to produce a junky looking physique. So
yeah. And also, I think it also will depend. Again, Phil, what do you think? Because I think it also depends on the person. I know that if I eat too much junk food, I start getting fat, right? And I know there are people out there that could eat anything and not gain an ounce of fat. So anytime I start eating a calories. I try to stick to, smart food choices, if you will. What do you think, Phil?
Well, I think the food is made different. So if we're talking about the younger generation like Sam Sulak, I don't believe in, if you're in fitness or bodybuilding, I don't believe all those calories are the same. I don't believe junk calories are the same as quality food. I don't. Like Dorian said, the look is going to be completely different.
Hmm.
Now, when I was up and coming back in my day, that's all you used to hear about was the dirty ball. And I
Yeah.
tried it. I'll put away some crumb cake. They said if you get all your meals in, as long as you get all your meals in, your clean foods, and you want to taper out and have some junk, it's okay. But that just made me genetically, it just doesn't work for me. You know what I
Right.
mean? I even tried it, I'm physically haven't even started the off season yet. I just did my blood work, so we're gonna start in probably next week. So I've been for 2 months just rolling on nothing but
Right. Right.
TFT. But I know with my body, if I experiment with eating clean and I throw in some corn muffins or some chocolate chip cookies down the road, for me it doesn't set well for my physique. In 2 weeks, it can go a completely different direction. So I don't believe in dirty bulk. I'm asked that question a lot in the gym by the
Yeah.
younger generation. I tell them you can eat clean, but just eat more. The tip with that is, like, I had a gentleman approach me yesterday when I was leaving, and he said, because everybody's looking for some type of free tips, and I'm cool, and I'm level-headed guy. So he said, could you look at this plan and tell me what you think? And I looked at it. I said, bro, this is like almost. Now I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at the food, and it was just over 1,000, almost 1,250 grams of carbs. So I said, you're not the leanest, and I'm not being disrespectful to him. I said, you're not fat, but you're not skinny.
Right.
So I would start off with the carbs at a certain distance and start tapering it down as it gets later in the day, because your body has no reason to use it for any source of energy. If 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, unless you're working out at night, that's a different story. Me, I work at around 12:30, 1 o'clock. So the later the time gets, my carbs go down because I have no source on using all those carbs. It's just going to
Mhm.
go in a different direction for me. So I told him that. I said, taper down, see how that works for 4 weeks, and then gradually raise the carbs up as you go, minutely, add an extra 5, extra 10, or whatever the case may be, and let your body grow into developing eating the food. You just can't just start shoveling down tons of food when you don't
Right.
know if your digestive system is going to be able to handle.
Yeah,
Um,
that's also another common misconception is you just got to start eating 10,000 calories a day. And I'm like, no, you kind of have to grow into it. You have to kind of slowly get there. It's just like anything else. Otherwise, you're just going to make yourself sick and you're not going to want to do it.
right.
Right. And I learned that the hard way. There was a time where I was just shoveling food in, and I was like, ugh. And I was like, I didn't realize, okay, we need to just slowly get there, right?
Yeah, you're
Instead of
just gonna
become
be tired. You eat like me, like right after the show, I go balls to the wall. There's no diet. I take a full week off and just eat what the hell I want.
right.
Because this year we went 9 months of dieting, 8 months of dieting. That was a long time.
That's
So
right.
after the show, I'm just shoving out food. But what I found myself doing is sleeping
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the
yeah.
jump is a sugar rush, and all I do is want to sleep. So I'm working tired and stuff like that. So that's all they're going to get out of it. I don't think you're going to get any growth out of sitting eating dirty bulk to build. But like Dorian said, you're going to get that dirtier look. You're not have that clean, you know, refined muscle look.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. I'm not into this whole, God. Like, don't get me wrong. Listen, I eat junk food too, but like I'll do it like once a week with my wife, and
Yeah.
we'll go out to eat or we'll order food and watch a movie or whatever, like a Saturday night or something like that. But then the rest of the week, I try to make smart food choices as best I could. But let's get now that I have Dorian and you guys and you, Phil, I want to get back into the actual working out. And more questions are popping up. I know originally it was push pull versus gym split, but there are questions that I get on my Anabolic Academy, and I think I'm answering them accurately, but I want your opinion on it. Another question I get a lot, and I see this in the gym a lot. When training biceps, when I was younger, or me and Phil are around the same age, Dorian's a little younger, it was the straight bar, it was the easy bar curl, it was bicep curls that you kind of maneuvered to the
Yeah.
left a little bit with your pinky. I see a lot of hammer curls in the last 5 to 10 years. That's what I see most people doing now is a lot of hammer curls with dumbbells. What's the difference? Is one better or one worse? Because what happens is I first see it and I go, these kids don't know what they're doing. And then I start second guessing myself. Like maybe they know something I don't know. And I almost never do a hammer curl, unless I'm doing it for forearms. But Dorian, get into that for me a little bit.
This is a loaded topic, and I got a lot to say about it. Let me start with 7-time Mr. Olympia Phil Heath approach to bicep training. We know Phil had great arms. His triceps are one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I've been training out at Armbrust Pro Gym for 13 years. I got to see before he was Mr. Olympia, through the whole Olympia sense, how he trained and how he looked. And one thing that I noted is he says he was training biceps sometimes only once a month. You can have arms like that and you only train biceps once a month. What are you talking about? But his point was the amount of stress that he put on his biceps while he was training back kept him in a place where he was putting enough stress in his arms to do everything he needed to do to have the arm shape he needed to be Mr. Olympia. So my personal bicep day, I only have 1 day a week. And it's kind of like a back day where I do like 8 sets of back. Then I'll jump in and I'll do maybe 8 sets of biceps. But with what I'm doing, if I do, 4 sets of body weight pull-ups, that might as well be a bicep exercise. And that's normally the case with whatever my other warm-up exercise is on back day. But the point is, by the time I get to biceps, they're pretty much toasted already, and I don't have to do much. However, when it does come to biceps training, I do try to hit all the different angles. I've been doing hammer curls a lot myself, but I think the hammer curl is also a lot. I mean, with a hammer curl, you're moving through this plane.
Right.
And it's how you're moving with your pull-up motion.
Right.
So I try to hit an angle where I'm fully supinated, like a preacher curl. Sometimes I'll even flip it all the way over and do a reverse curl, and I'll get those hammer curls in. My whole thing is I want to be able to hit it at different angles. Luckily, I've always had a good bicep, even since I was a little bitty kid. I think it's popped off my arm.
And I would argue that Phil was the same way. I would think that, there were certain guys that just, like Mike Matarazzo never had to train calves. He had calves like bowling balls, So Phil was probably the same way with, but why don't you take it, Phil? What do you think?
I love them. I do front hammer curls. I do side hammer curls. I just hit every muscle from every angle. I think they're perfectly fine. They also tap off your forearm as well, doing front hammer curls and side. Yeah. But like Dorian said, I like to put a little twist. So I don't like doing hammer curls all the time, just up and down. Sometimes I like to give that curl to hit the peak of that bicep. So I do them both ways, front and to the side. You know what I mean? Preacher curls, stuff like that. So I'm a fan of hammer curls.
So you don't really think there's much of a difference. Basically, just hit different angles. Because again, when I was younger, nobody was doing hammer curls. And it was all straight bar, easy bar. I guess the seated barbell curl, I guess, was started off as a hammer, and then you went into the kind of to the side, right? And then it's only been in like the last 10 years. Is this something that just kind of like is reborn, something that was done 30 years ago and now it's come back? Is that happening a lot? Like what's old is new.
I ever saw the hammer curls back.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
But listen, at the end of the day, if you're hitting any muscle from different angles, it's going to create growth. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Especially for the biceps. So I'm a firm believer of the hammer curls if you do them the correct way.
Right.
When I see people just swinging them up this way, that's not the correct way. But if you're doing them the correct way and focus on the mind-muscle connection, you could actually go a little bit heavier with the hammer curls than what you would with the regular dumbbell curls. I don't do straight bar curls anymore. It puts too much emphasis on my wrist, so I don't even do those anymore. More the easy bar because it fits more comfortable in my hand with the shape. But yeah, hammer curls, man, I 100% I believe they do work.
Okay. If I do hammer curls, I do it from the side to hit more of the forearm. But since we're on arms, here's another question. Again, questions I get. Another question. Triceps. I was always, again, the way I was drilled in my head in my 20s into my early 30s, close grip bench, skull crushes, things like that. But then you kind of get into this philosophy where cables, light, 20, 30 reps, so on and so forth. And then basically I've incorporated both. But as far as trying to build mass on triceps, now, let's try not to talk about like the greatest triceps in the world that they don't have to do anything. Like the normal person that's trying to build triceps, But Dorian, what do you think comparing like I said, the heavy, the close grip, the skull crushes, as opposed to the cables?
I've always been more of a fan of the isolation stuff. I feel like my tricep day is on a shoulder day. So I usually do shoulders first, and there's a press in there. So I feel like I've already hit that angle. There's no reason to go ahead and hit that again with my triceps, as me personally. Normally I do more isolation stuff. I do like to do a lot of close grip cable pull downs, push downs. I like to do an overhead motion. Sometimes I'll throw in like a dip motion. Sometimes I'll turn that grip over and I'll do like an underhand extension. But between those 3 or 4 different angles, I mean, you can find different machines to hit those angles. That's all I do. And it's normally about 8 to 10 sets, 1 day a week.
Now,
also,
go ahead.
Rep range. You're talking about rep range. My coach seems like moderate reps, 10 to 12, with me going super slow, like doing like 5 seconds down, 5 seconds up works best for me. But the truth is, it doesn't matter how much weight you're doing, how many reps you're doing, as long as you're pushing yourself to failure and using intensity, you're going to create a response.
Okay. But Phil, close grip bench was huge. Everybody was close grip benching when we were younger. Now you almost never see it, right? What's your philosophy on triceps? The same thing as Dorian?
My gym, they do it. I do it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I do it on a Smith machine. I don't believe in keeping the wrist close. I believe keeping the wrist right about here. Everything's about protecting my wrist. Back in the day, I used to see super close. Now I bring it right about here to keep the pressure off my wrist. But I do close grip, Smith machine press. I do bent over dumbbell kickbacks, overhead dumbbell straight on. I use a lot of free weights, and then I'll come over to now the cables and do reverse grip tricep push downs and do some row push downs and finish off with some seated press push downs. I do my triceps with my chest day because I already pre-exhaust my triceps. So that's how I do it. And how Dorian does biceps with when he does back because it pre-exhausts. So I only have to do 3 exercises. I'm a big fan of just three sets, and my rep range go from 10 to 15. That's it.
Okay, so it's basically you combine basically both, right? The cables and close grip bench and weight training, free weight. All right. A lot of people do arms together. They do bis and tris together. But a lot of the elite athletes like yourselves, they usually separate it. Like, Dorian does triceps with shoulders and biceps with back. What's the best way?
I used to do arms together.
Okay.
I always have this split. And honestly, I love training biceps with triceps because there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
You get a lot of blood pulling to both sides of the arm, which I think can create what I was talking about with that sense of fascial expansion. It's not just bicep that's blowing up. It's like your triceps blowing up too. And you literally feel that skin stretch. A lot of neurological stimulation, a lot of blood flow to the area. I think it's a great strategy personally.
Okay. I that's what I do. And the reason, even though people have told me, oh, you should kind of split it up like you guys do, but I just like doing it that way. And just for the same reason you said, it's more of a psychological thing. Like I feel the pump in both ends. Like if I do if I do bis first and then I do a close grip bench, I almost can't get the bench all the way down because my bis are pumped. And it's just more of a psychological, euphoria that my both sides are pumped and my arms, are veiny and look big and so on and so forth. But Phil, what about you? Because a lot of the elite guys, they split it up like you guys do. What do you think?
No, some of them still just
Oh,
train
really?
arms. Labrada, Kamal, when I train with him, a lot of them do split it up. I don't. I think Kamal trains 6 days a week. I don't believe in training 6 days a week. So I have to have my 2 days off. And they work for Jay Cutler. It can work for me. So like I said, I do 2 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off. I don't believe in doing arms together. It's a waste of a day to add to do arms together.
Okay.
Once again, if you're pre-exhausting these exercises with the movements, back, biceps, chest, triceps, then you don't need to put a whole lot of work because the blood's already in that area once you're doing a larger muscle group. You get what I'm saying? That's my philosophy. And I have pretty damn good arms, and I've been that way since God knows when. Now, when I was younger and up and coming and working in these, Pat's gym and these big jack freaking dudes that's on everything you can name. I used to do, I did arms to get, together. But as I mature into bodybuilding, I just believe it's better to separate them because I don't like to over stimulate is my thing.
Right.
I like to stimulate, not annihilate. So if I can make my training, and once again, that's just what works for me. Everybody else, it may work for them to, do them together. I just believe less time in the gym, get in, get your business done. I don't talk, my headphones on, I do my duty, and I get the hell out. So I
Right.
can rest, recover, eat, and, get my body ready for the next day. So
Yeah.
yeah, I completely separate them. I don't do them
That's my biggest problem, right? Sometimes after I'm done working out, I'm shooting the shit with the guys in the gym. And my wife was like, "Where were you for 3 hours?" I was like, I was bullshit with the guys.
I'm in and out, bro.
Yeah. How much is it? Is it really just everybody's a little different, and what works for everybody could be a little bit different, right? Because like we said, there are certain guys that will do arms together and they get great results. There are certain guys that separate it. I don't think there's like one general plan for everybody. I think everybody's a little bit different. And I think that goes with diet, training, supplementation, super subs. I think it goes with everything. But you still have to have the basics down. What do you think, Dorian? Because last time you were on, we talked about Mike Crizzo, and you were a little critical of his weight training strategy. But is it something that just works for him, or is it the fact that he's overthinking it, or is it just everybody's a little bit different?
Well, I think to maximize your time in the gym, you need to maximize your technique. I said this already. You got to maximize your technique. You need to couple that with maximized intensity. I think Mike's got decent intensity. He's just got something off with his technique. And I think he did developmentally. I think this is something, he had a movement pattern that he established as a kid that moved right into his weight training, which moved right into his professional bodybuilding. And now his physique looks a little off because of this kind of improper movement pattern that he's always had established. So yeah, everybody's a little bit different, but once again, if you come back and you focus on the basics, and the basics is going to be the application of your technique combined with intensity, that's what's going to create your results. And with Crizzo, I just think his technique's off a little bit.
Yeah.
And so would develop this massive physique.
Right. So with him, it would be maybe beneficial to sort out somebody like Charles Glass or Milos or Chris Aceto or somebody like that could actually steer him into the right direction. Hey, listen, you got basic. Let me bring you to the end point here where you got where you are. It was worked, but now we have to change things up a little bit. So with him, it would benefit.
I 100%. I think, and I heard an athlete talking about this just recently. He's like, he's a professional athlete in the first place, but he's going to seek somebody else's knowledge in their coaching. And he's like, listen, whatever I've done, let's not focus on that. I need to learn. I'm here to learn from you. I'm a sponge, and I need to take in what you're teaching me. And maybe that might be having to decrease your load and kill your ego, so you're doing the motion properly. I heard the Canadian bodybuilder, Mike.
Yeah, the guy with the bald head and all the tats.
Black and white videos.
Yeah, I've had him on before. Yeah,
stuff. I love his stuff.
Oh yeah, it's great.
About how he would just basically, if he's working with a coach, he would forget everything that he knows and start from the basics, start from the ground up. Mm-hmm. I think that's what Crizzo needs to do if he's ever going to get that right.
Right. Last question, and then I'll tell you what a wonderful 2024 I'm having so far. But last question.
I heard about your car, but go ahead.
Yeah. It's wonderful. Is training bodybuilders a possibility for the both of you after you guys retire from bodybuilding? Because both of you seem to really know the specifics, and that seems to be what you need to be a great trainer, if you will. Is that a path that either one of you would consider after retiring from bodybuilding?
Take it, Phil.
So what are you asking? Would I?
Would you try to? It would after bodybuilding. Would you focus like trying to be like another Aceto, Milos, go in that direction? George Farah, where you take your knowledge and you apply it to new up and coming bodybuilders and see where you go from there.
You know what? It's a question. I'm not really sure. I mean, honestly, I'm doing some of that already. Mm-hmm. What I want to take on, my position is with a pro, and I understand some of them have to, go to these elite coaches to improve and better themselves. I completely respect and understand that. But my thinking, I'm Jamaican, I'm old school. I just believe in hard work and dedication. And if you don't know what you're doing, you need to start educating yourself. Dorian is very educated. The computer is right there. You can look at videos of Charles Glass training someone and then implement that to your structure and your capabilities. Because even though you go train with some of these elite coaches, remember, they're training you based on their knowledge. How do you know if that's going to really work for your body being pushed to a certain level that your body really necessarily cannot handle? You get what I'm saying?
Mm,
So how I do it with my business I run, all my clients are structurally developed differently. So I have to approach their training completely differently. But I focus on form and technique,
mm,
quality over quantity. So what I want to take on pro bodybuilders when I retire? Probably not. You know what I
mm,
mean? Because the level of arrogancy with some of these pros, a lot of them, I don't want to get into a combative situation. Like Dorian says, either your brain is going to be a sponge and you're willing and open to learn, and then you can now implement that to your style as you go on. But it has to be something I will have to see, if that's what I would like to do. When I coach athletes, believe it, I love the athletes that never competed before. I've coached people that competed before, and we're going head to head because I'm more of a safety person when it comes to distributor supplementation,
mm.
where they believe for them to achieve greatness and win the nationals, they heard someone say this is the direction to go. I don't believe in that. Say your health is more important to me than anything. So
Right.
that's what you got to risk though when you're ready to train. If it's an up and coming bodybuilder, brain is clean, he's ready to soak up. Yes, I would do that. I'm willing to help anybody out as long as they are open and very open minded with the education and knowledge that I have.
It blows me away when somebody hires a trainer and then they fight with them. It's like, what are you paying me for? It just blows me away. And
Happens a lot, man.
I hear it
Happens a
all the
lot.
time. It's like, why am I going to pay you for your knowledge? Clearly, you know more than I do, which is why I'm coming to you. And then I'm just going to go, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't know. Whatever. But Dorian, what about you? You think that's a direction you want to go into, where you want to become like a more of an elite trainer of bodybuilding?
I would love to, and it's all about what's going to be the best for me. And with me, and Phil could agree, personal training is a wonderfully lucrative profession because you can change lives with personal training. If you're taking a top level bodybuilder, I might be able to take Phil Clahar as my client, and I might be able to take him from where he is, which is spectacular. He's already like the 99th percentile of people who are fit. So I might be able to change him 1%. That might not be as gratifying as somebody who's never trained before. They want to get into this for the first time. They're obese. They've got all kinds of issues with their blood work. You get their diet right. You get them training properly. And you see them going from maybe 30% of their fitness percentile to 80% of their fitness percentile. No, they're not at 99 where Phil is, but still you change 50% of that person's existence. That for me is very gratifying. And that's what I love about personal training.
Mm.
So yeah, I would like to be able to train somebody on that level. I don't think I can handle that many clients because I think for me personally, I want to be able to create a massive positive outcome with whoever I work with.
Right.
So, and I just like Phil said, some of these people, I don't think respect what a good trainer has to offer. And any competitor is much more work than a lifestyle client. So when you're trying to couple business with what you want to do, there's a fine line and there's a balance there. So we need to be able to take on clients that are going to be something that's lucrative for our business financially, as well as somebody you're going to create a positive outcome with. So that's what I want to work with.
Okay.
If that happens to be a professional bodybuilder, let's go.
Right. No, it makes complete sense. And it's kind of like anybody's retirement, right? So what I mean by that is when you retire from a job and you want to work, now you could choose what you want to do as opposed to what you have to do. Right. And that's kind of like, I mean, I got some time before I retire, but I always think about it and I go, when I retire, I'm not going to stop working, but now I could choose what I want to do. And as opposed to like being, ankle deep in human feces.
By you saying that, choose. I mean, that's how I run my business. So basically, you have to do a consultation appointment with me first. A lot of people like to wheel and deal over the phone. I don't do anything over the phone. We can talk over the phone, then you have to set up a consultation appointment. You have to sit down with me. Now I got to make the decision if I want to work with you. You already made the decision. You're choosing me to work with, but
Right.
because I have very high end clients, I got people dropping big money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I put my prices that way for that very reason because I want consistency long term. So the majority of my clients, you're looking at freaking 16 years, 5 years, 6 years. I have very long, people that's been with me for a very, very long time.
Right.
So
Right.
when I put myself in a position to pick and choose, they're interviewing me as well as I'm interviewing them. I have to know that I'm able to work with this individual for the 6 months or a year contract that they signed with me to be able to do that. Because in the past, when I never had a contract and I was starting my business and I used to get wealthy people, they used to talk very down on me because,
Oh,
about 10 years, 12 years ago, personal training wasn't really respected. I had one client physically tell me, you're not going to pick up my bag and get my water. I said, excuse me? I'm just kidding. I'm joking. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you got to be joking. You
yeah,
know what I'm
really.
saying? So now I just sit down and I interview and I make my choice. And like Dorian said, I'm already in it already while I'm working as a bodybuilder. I'm doing two at the same time. But I rather go where the money is going to be and the lifestyle changes. I sit with people that sits in my chair and cries with their health conditions. And when they come to me 6 or 4 months later and they're all pressure medicine. So like he's saying, that's more rewarding to me than working with a pro bodybuilder that we're going to get some negative vibes somewhere. It's going to happen. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I would rather, I just feel more with the people that, and the different type of people I work with. If I trained a lot of bodybuilders, I wouldn't be making any damn money. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Right.
No money.
Okay.
And
Okay.
my clientele is mixture from 13 years old all the way up to 70 something years old is the clientele I have.
Really?
And then I have my athletes that I coach.
Oh, that's actually really impressive. And I never thought of it that way. I always thought the big money was with the elite athletes. Because if they can't pay you up front, you can take a percentage of whatever sponsorship or a percentage of their winnings or so on and so forth. But you learn something new every day.
Yeah, you'll make money, but that's short term money. You get what I'm
I see what you're
saying?
saying. Yes, I
Like
see what you're saying.
as far as and then like Dorian said, you're putting way more time in the gym because when you're training pros, you got let's say that hour or hour and a half you're training them, and then you got another pro coming in where I train people for 30 minutes.
Right, right,
You
right,
get what I'm
right, right.
saying? So it's to me, I think it's just more money and consistent, steady money than to train a pro and then down the road he's not happy with you. He's going to work with somebody else. Now the money that you were making, now it's gone, and you're trying to make that up with. You know what I'm saying? It's a double edged sword. So
I gotcha.
I feel
Yeah, I
more
hear what you're
comfortable
saying.
where I'm at.
No, that makes all the sense in the world, obviously. So we're coming to the end, and Dorian. So listen to my holidays. This was great. So we have two cars, me and my wife, right? So my wife, of course, drives the BMW, right? And then when we go out, I'm driving the BMW. But then I have a commuter car that I go back and forth to work with every day, and I have a Hyundai, right? I wanted something that was cheap on gas. I got a great warranty, no headaches, so on and so forth. So it's the day before Christmas, not Christmas Eve. The day before Christmas Eve. It's a Saturday, and I'm like happy because I don't have to go to work. I get the long weekend. I go outside, and my car's gone. So I'm like, I thought I was in the twilight zone because I was like, wow. I walked around the block. I'm like, did I park it around the block? Right? I don't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, it's not repoed. It's paid. I didn't block anybody's driveway. It's like it got stolen, right? So somebody stole my car, right? It turns out, apparently, you could steal a Hyundai and a Kia with an iPhone charger in under
Really?
30, yeah, in under 30 seconds. And they show it on there's TikTok videos and YouTube videos where they call them the Kia kids, where they're just basically stealing cars and going for joyrides because it's that easy to steal these cars. Now, I didn't know this when I bought the car, right? I found this out when the cops came to my house and I had to fill out a police report, right? So, okay, they steal the car. All right, I got to get over that. So I got to get a rental. They find the car, okay? And it's the same thing. Like I do electrical work on the side, not as much as I used to because I concentrate on the podcast more, but all my tools over 20 years are in the back of that car. And nothing was touched. And that was making me sick more than the actual car because blue collar guys, they build their tools up over years. Like I have tools in there that are 10, 15 years old, right? So I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm never going to get that. They're going to ransack through the car. But no, it was basically high school kids that just took the car for a joyride. So they got the car. Nothing was taken from the back. Anyway, then I get the flu. I'm knocked on my ass with fever and the flu and diarrhea for like a week, right? I don't go to work for like 3 days because I'm fucking in bed. It's terrible. And then finally I get over the flu. And then I get like this massive head cold. And my car has been gone since the day before Christmas, and they finally called me today and said, okay, your car can be released. So basically I haven't had a car for 2 weeks. I have a rental for 2 weeks. But the guy goes, the driver's side window's busted, the steering column's busted, and they left it outside for days. So rainwater basically soaked the entire interior of the car. And that's how I'm starting my 2024 off. So I don't know if they're going to total the car or whatnot. I kind of hope they do at this point. But and I'm like, I'm having the best 2 weeks of my life. Holy
Is the only damage just the windows and the water in the steering column?
The window, the steering column, and the water. But the thing is,
lucked out.
Yeah, I thought they
My car got stolen when I was much younger. It got stolen in Trenton. I was working in Princeton, but the hotel was in Trenton, and I was leaving, and my car wasn't there. So I said, "Damn, did I park the car somewhere else?"
Yeah, we all do.
So then I saw a little oil stain, and then I called the police department, and they said, "Oh yeah, we have your car. It's in the junkyard." I said, "A junkyard?" He said, "Yeah, it was involved in a shooting. The kid stole your car. It was an Escort, so it was easy to steal because all the BMWs and Benz, nobody touched those.
That's
So
right.
they took the Escort and they robbed a Marine's house for guns, and it was a shootout. So when I went and saw the car, it was bullet, blood all over the seats.
What?
It was done. So your car ain't as bad as what happened to me.
Holy shit! Wow. Yeah. At that point, you go, I'm not taking this car. I don't care how you fix it. Yeah. But I'm just worried about because all the cars now, everything is electronic. So how did that water damage?
Where you live?
Jersey.
Oh, you in Jersey? Well, I thought you was from New York.
Well, I'm originally from New York.
Okay.
And I moved out here about 12 years ago. Yeah.
And all the cars are electric?
Not electric. I'm saying the technology inside the car.
Oh yeah, it's different. Yeah.
Everything is, the seats are electric and all the everything's push, the touch screen. And I'm like, I wonder how that affects the water damage affects that. Right. I know it might not just be the seating, but whatever. So I'm batting 1,000, but hopefully, I just give me the fucking car back to just.
You have full coverage on there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it's total, you'll get another.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's just a headache. And I'm like, great. And then I got sick on top of that. And I hate getting sick because when I get sick, I get knocked on my ass. And I truly believe it's because of where I work. Yeah, because there's so many, like when you take the job that I have, right, Dorian? When you first work in the sewer, you're like, I could deal with that. I could deal with rats. I could deal with shit. But we don't realize it's the different bacteria that you're exposed to. And they give you a list of 5 or 6 different diseases that you can catch that are from the bacteria that you have to give to your doctor. And when you get sick, they have to check you for those just in case you have one of those, So, and I really feel like every time I get sick, it's because of that, because I get like, it's not like I get a little cold. I get knocked on my ass. And it happens a lot with the guys at work, where they're throwing up, they get diarrhea and whatnot because it's all the, whatever they're breathing in or so on and so forth. Do you know how many times, it's a process. I'm not going to get into it. Do you know how many times I'm like dumping a bucket full of, it's basically shit, right? And it splatters and I don't have my, my goggles on. It gets on my eye or my lip.
Yeah, you don't even got to put me in Dorian and egg. We'll never take that job.
I took it. I honestly, I'm not kidding. Like I took the job because it's it's like New York City's biggest secret. It's the best paying New York City job because you don't need 5,000 of them, right? You need 800. There's like 600 or 800 sewage treatment workers. That's what they call them. Cops and firemen, you need 8,000 throughout the New York City. So then they want you to have a trade underneath your belt because you're basically fixing things, right? So they want you to have a trade, and then they want you to have a CDL on top of it. So you're getting paid really good, and then on top of that, you're getting your retirement, your 401k, your 457, all your benefits. Like I have the same benefits as cops and firemen, and you don't have to worry. But so I was like, all right, this is a no-brainer. I'll deal with all this crap.
You deal with the shit. You'll deal with
it. Yeah, exactly. and I said, don't get me wrong. There are days where I'm like not near the shit because they put me, all right, we need you over here to do this. And I'm not in the shit. But then there are days where, you got to get in it and you're covered from head to toe because you got to fix something. Wow. It's fucking disgusting.
God bless you. I'll pray for you.
All right, gentlemen, again, thank you very much. I truly appreciate both of you guys coming on. And check out Dorian Haywood's YouTube channel. What's the YouTube channel?
Dorian Haywood IFBB Pro.
I mean, listen, bro, it's his freaking name, man. He told you
Yeah,
16 times already.
I know. I can't remember.
Hey,
Shit.
listen, it's always a privilege, man. John, listen, you know when you reach out to me, the majority of the time I can do it, man.
Thank you, my friend.
Like I told you before, man, you're a great person. I love doing this with Dorian, man. Dorian's a cool dude, and his highly intelligent words that I'm about to go and put it on Patty right now. Some of his high intensity of words here, so she's gonna laugh at me. But no, man, it's great doing this with Dorian, man. John, it's always a pleasure, man. So anytime you need me, I'm there.
Thank you, gentlemen. I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, we'll be in touch. Have a great night, fellas.
All right, man. Dorian, take it easy, brother.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Later.